Chapter 2. It was Sunday afternoon. The sun was sinking low in the sky, but the air was still quite warm. John was wandering along in the direction of Susan's house, absent-mindedly looking down the sidewalk, when his eye was suddenly caught by a dully gleaming, silvery gray coin lying right in his path. The coin was the size of a quarter, but even as he leaned forward to eagerly pick it up, John noticed there was something strange about it. It did not have the picture of George Washington or a picture of an eagle. On one side, there was a picture of a fat boy. On the other side, there were the letters J.M., which is funny, John thought, because those letters happened to be his initials. Grasping the coin firmly, he ran toward Susan's house. She liked to collect things, thought he might be interested to know that he had the beginnings of a coin collection. Though he was in the habit of going over to Susan by the same route once or twice almost every day, this afternoon John found himself turning left where he usually turned right. I always go the same way, he thought. This time for a change, I'm going a new way. He didn't stop to consider that you cannot go east by going west unless you go all the way around the world. Only 2 blocks along the unfamiliar street, John came to a small corner store. It was a neat red brick building with 2 big show windows. They were full of all sorts of candy. Susan was immediately absolutely forgotten. John pressed his nose against one of the windows. He was imagining the taste of the chocolate-covered almonds and chocolate fudge on the other side of the glass when he noticed a man in a white apron standing behind the counter and beckoning to him. John was surprised. He hadn't expected the store to be open on Sunday. Don't just stand in the doorway, John, the man called heartily. Come in and get some fresh, sweet, creamy chocolate. There's a special sale today. How did the man know his name? John wondered. He couldn't remember ever having seen the store before. The storekeeper saw John hesitate. The chocolate I use in my kitchen comes direct from the heart of Africa, he said. I use none but the finest ingredient. And my recipes, well, I bet you've never tasted chocolate like mine. Come on in. Thank you, John replied, walking into the counter. But you see, the trouble is, well, no money, the storekeeper asked. No money whatsoever? But if you got there in your right hand? John had forgotten the old coin in his hand. Oh, he said, it's part of my coin collection. I mean, he added more honestly, I'm going to save this coin and then get some more coins to make a collection. Let me have a look at it, the storekeeper said. He looked briefly at the coin. Aha, he exclaimed. Is it any good? John asked, his hopes suddenly rising. Very good, said the storekeeper. In fact, it's the only kind of money I accept. But I don't suppose that you want to spend it on a whole box? I imagine you'd rather keep this for your coin collection than spend it on chocolate, wouldn't you? Oh, no, John said. Chocolate any day. Go ahead then, help yourself, the storekeeper said, pointing to a heavily laden show table piled high with large cellophane-wrapped candy boxes, all exactly alike. You mean I can have one of these? John asked, his eyes round with surprise. The candy boxes were as big as one of his father always brought home at Christmas time. Just help yourself, the storekeeper assured him. That is, unless you think it might be better to ask your mother first. Oh, she wouldn't mind, John said hastily and blushed. The storekeeper winked knowingly. I'm sure she won't, he agreed. Not in the long run, anyway. John tucked one of the large boxes under his arm, declined the storekeeper's offer to wrap it as a gift, thanked him, and hurried out of the store if there be any questions of anyone's changing his mind. The storekeeper smiled as he watched his customer hurry away down the street. John decided it might be sensible to enter his house quietly by the way of the kitchen. With a large candy box hidden behind him, he let himself in by the back door and crept up the kitchen stairway, tiptoed towards his own room on the top floor. Just as he was about to round the corner on the second floor to continue his way upstairs, He had to stop for a moment while his father walked by, coming along the hall from the bedroom telephone. That was Mrs. Buttercup on the phone, Mr. Midas called to Mrs. Midas as he walked down the front stairs. She said she was sorry John hasn't been able to get over to play with Susan this afternoon. But it's a good thing in a way, she thought, because Susan's already so excited about her birthday party tomorrow. I wonder where John could have gone to. Just as soon as the second floor was quiet again and John knew there was no danger that his candy box would be seen, he hurried silently up to his bedroom, pushed open the door, and slid the box under the bed. Then he walked heavily down to the living room. Well, there you are, said Mrs. Midas. I couldn't imagine where you'd been. What have you been doing? Oh, just sort of playing around, said John. He usually took a long time to put his things away and undress and bathe and get ready for bed, where he thought sleeping was a waste of time. This evening he started yawning long before his usual bedtime. Sleepy, John announced. All right, said Mrs. Midas. You better be getting to bed. Time for your tonic. John's tonic came in a bottle. It had been prescribed by Dr. Cranium. John had to drink a big spoonful every night to make up for all the vegetables and fruits that he left on his plate at lunch and at dinner. The tonic tasted like soap, mud, glue, ink, and paint. It tasted horrible. Much to Mrs. Midas' surprise, John ran ahead of her to the dining room cupboard where the tonic and the tonic spoon were kept. By the time she got there, he had already filled the spoon. Then, without any coaxing, he emptied it into his mouth. Ugh! John sputtered. Ugh! It's a very good boy, Mrs. Midas said. And why can't you be sensible and eat your nice dinner that way? If you'd only stop eating so much candy, you'd be able to eat your meals properly and you wouldn't need to take the tonic. Soon John was scrubbed in his pajamas and in bed, ready to be tucked in for the night. Mrs. Midas sat on the bed and stroked his forehead for a moment. She leaned forward and kissed his cheek. John, pretending that he was very sleepy, shut his eyes and began breathing deeply. When Mrs. Midas rejoined Mr. Midas in the living room, she said, Never known John to be so good about going to bed before. He went to sleep in no time. A few seconds after the bedroom door had closed behind his mother, John leaped to the floor, got down on his hands and knees, and felt into the bed for the candy box. He soon had it on a pillow to set to work and unfastening it. First, he took off the thin outer sheet of cellophane. Then he lifted the lid. Then he removed the sheet of cardboard. Then he pulled up a square of heavy tinfoil. Then he took out a layer of shredded paper. As the wrappings piled around him, John became rather anxious. Last, he came to a small center of ball of cotton batting, and there, right in the middle, was a little golden ball. He picked up the ball with his fingernail and peeled away the gold paper, revealing a tiny piece of plain chocolate. It was the only piece of chocolate in the whole box. Deeply disappointed, John nevertheless put it into his mouth. He had never tasted chocolate quite like it. It was the most chocolatey chocolate he had ever encountered.